All right, welcome back to another episode of 2 Point Sports. Today, we're going to be going over some recruiting updates, specifically talking about Jaren Kanack, Jalil Florence, and a guy that we could be checking out in the transfer portal in Jacob Cowing. He's a guy out of UTEP. But before we get any further, thank you guys for everything that you've done for us so far. This channel is growing super fast. I know I've been saying it over and over, but it's all because of you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Go check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify. If you don't like looking at us, the link is down below, so you can go check it out on Spotify. And hopefully, we're on Apple Podcast soon. It's all Apple's fault, so go badger them about it if you're an Apple Podcast fan. But yeah, all the links are down below, and we will make sure to make it simple for you guys to get there. Make sure you're also liking, subscribing, turning on the notification bell, and of course, most importantly, in my opinion, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about these guys once we get deeper into it, and who you hope one of those locks is that Kobe McKenzie tweeted out a few days ago. Let's get into it. Number one is, and probably the biggest news of today, Jaren Kanack, line athlete, who's probably going to play linebacker out of Hayes, Kansas, 4-star. He recently enrolled into the University of Oklahoma. Seems like he's doing it super quiet with how his recruitment is going, since Brent Venables has left. But he is a 6'2", 210-pound athlete, like I just mentioned. This dude is an absolute beast athletically. Is a two-sport athlete, football and track. In track, his verified results, at least according to 247, which was from earlier this year, he runs a 10.37 100-meter dash, 51.90 400-meter dash, and can jump super high at 22.525 feet on that's a long jump. So this guy's got explosiveness. So yeah, Brum, you want to lead off? Let us know what you think about this guy.
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, he's a great athlete. I know we've talked about him a few other times. I was doing some more research on him today. I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw a report that he runs around a 4.41 40-yard dash. For a linebacker at his size,
Hold on, you
that's
said
pretty
four. You
good.
said what? Four?
4.41.
Oh, 4 for 1. Okay, I thought you said 4-1-4.
No, no, no,
No,
no.
like,
Four
okay.
four one. No, no, no. Sorry. But still, as a linebacker, running a 4.4 right around 4.4 flat is impressive. He's been adamant, it seems like, to be a Sooner. I mean, not many kids would go through the process of walking on, applying as a student, and being on financial aid until he can sign his letter of intent on February 3rd, since the early National Signing Day has passed. He's just determined, and I feel like he's just like, well, if you won't let me on, I'll just force my way on. And Dabo Sweeney can't be mad at me or mad at you for doing that. He wants to be a Sooner, and watching some of his highlights, he plays, both sides of the ball in high school. He was running over kids. I think he, on one run for like 60 yards, he ran over like 4 or 5 kids, broke tons of tackles, and he's a hard hitting linebacker. It's exactly what OU needs. Brandon, what do you think?
No, exactly. I think you brought up the clip that everybody has seen at this point in time if you're a Sooner fan, where he literally takes the ball and he's kind of dead in the rights after about 5 yards, trucks a kid, trucks another kid, and he's in the end zone 60 yards later. Absolutely freakish play. But he's a guy that I'm super excited about because first of all, he's a freak athlete. I mean, Jose just mentioned everything. His track statistics, if you will, or the things that he's capable of. And he's also taking a Baker Mayfield approach to coming onto Oklahoma, and obviously that worked with Baker Mayfield. He's obviously Heisman #1 pick. Should have won a national championship if TVOW didn't choke. You got to be excited about Kanak just taking that same approach. Very freaky athlete. I think Brent Venables is going to be able to do a lot of fun things with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's in a way, I love that he's walking on, but in one side of me thinks it's like, this is a little ridiculous. Like Dabo Sweeney, I understand Venables and Sweeney probably had a handshake agreement about not recruiting other people, but I'm sure Kanak has made it very clear that he's like, I'm not going to be a Clemson Tiger, Dabo. I don't care what you say. Like, at some point, don't you just let the kid go and go get on scholarship right away? I mean,
The Brent
That's what
Venables
we've
thing.
seen. That's what we've seen from. And granted, we've talked about it on the show and off record, just in text messages with each other. I think we're all big fans of the way that Brent Venables is handling his business, as far as not, going back and trying to poach Clemson players, doing it the right way, all this and that. That's awesome too. But I think a couple people who watch our videos commented, like, yeah, but at some point Dabo has to do the same thing, and specifically with this kid, like, he clearly has no interest in being a Clemson Tiger. Like, it is what it is. I'm sorry. He wants to be an Oklahoma Sooner. Dabo should have, called Brent and been like, hey, you can have this one. So, he's taking the walk-on route because he's forcing, essentially he's forcing his way to Oklahoma. But that's awesome. I mean, that's awesome for Oklahoma fans. It's awesome for Oklahoma football, because if a kid wants to be there that bad that he's going to walk on and roll the dice and, all that, like you said, bro, take financial aid, everything until he gets a scholarship. The kid clearly wants to be at Oklahoma, and I think he's going to be very, very special.
Yeah. And I was just going to say one more thing. I think we all wanted this for Brent Venables to come in, and we're all thinking kids are going to want to play for him. I think this is your first guy, Oklahoma wise. I'm not saying that Jaden Gibson and Nick Evers, but this is the true Brent Venables effect, because he literally has not recruited him at all since he's left Clemson. But the kid is so determined to play for him, he's going out of his way. And this is what we wanted. And I think this is what we're going to start seeing soon.
Although, do you think, there's no way that Brent Venables has no idea that he's a student at the University of Oklahoma right now, right? Like, there's no way he has, like, he has no idea that Jaren Kanack is enrolled at OU.
He's definitely got to know. He's got to know something, and I think it has nothing to do with Dabo, and we've said it multiple times. I think Brent Venables is just trying to do right by his previous program, and at some point he just has to give in and recruit the kid, and it sounds like he will, or he will, have an offer for him to sign on to in February. He didn't want to push it for this last time. But going back to Jaren as a guy, he seems like he's very confident in his ability, which is awesome. And he's a very outgoing person. I was kind of checking out his social media before, it was official on 247, because it took a little bit after Bob Prispillo reported that he was officially enrolled as a student. It took a little bit for 247 profile to say that he was a hard commit to OU. So I checked out the social media just to see, like, maybe he posted something on Twitter or Instagram. He didn't. It's super quiet, like I said at first. But I was scrolling through his pictures, and he seems like he's a very outgoing person. He's kind of reminds me of Danny Stutzman in that way, where he's going to be really into the OU like culture, not just for football, but with everything. We've seen Danny Stutzman over these last few weeks go to a lot of basketball games and walk around, run around with the OU flag, like really take part in being, having the full student experience at the college level. And I think this kid's going to be very similar. It's going to be fun to watch those two interact, and they're probably going to be posting a lot of things on social media together. They're going to be fun. And I'm excited about it. When you have fun, you're going to play good football.
Exactly. But they're like the kids that we have at linebacker right now, I am so excited to see play under Brent Venables. Like you mentioned, Danny Stutzman. I think he's going to be huge under Venables. Obviously, I think Jaren Kanack's going to be huge under Venables. You got Cody McKenzie, who's, he's also like a freak athletically. He's going to be, I just imagine, big. But you got Clayton Smith there. Reggie, I'm so excited to see, how Venables really transforms and gets everything out of these linebackers who are super, super talented.
Yeah, and if there was a kid that was going to be in this class that's going to impact in the 2022 season, I feel like it will be Kanak. I feel like he will see the field like a Danny Stutzman, because there's going to be opportunities all over the field for him to get onto the field if he plays well. And just like Stutzman, we were big fans of Stutzman. We did a Who Dat, way back, where if anyone doesn't know, Who Dat is where we go in depth on recruits that sign with Oklahoma and really dive in on what they can bring and what they do and what they don't do, which we will be bringing that back in the spring, whenever we're a little bit more slower on information. But we were big fans of Stutzman. If I remember right, we were all really excited for him. And I felt like a lot of the big media wasn't really high on Stutzman because he was like a 3 or 4 star. but Stutzman plays with his hair on fire, and same with Kanak. And it's a similar build, it's similar just play style, and it's pretty exciting to see.
Yeah. Before we move on to our next guy, do you guys have anything else to add? Nope.
I'm just glad that he's here. That's all I got to say. I'm just glad he's a Sooner.
He forced his way to OU, and it's going to work out for him. I think we all believe that. So the next guy, Jalil Florence, cornerback out of San Diego, California, 6'1.5", probably fair to say he's probably 6'2" now, 180, 4-star, ranked 26 at his position, 16th in California and number 202 nationally. He recently decommitted from Oregon, so he just got his official offer from OU today, actually on the 21st, and he officially visited USC on the 10th. So those have been his two schools that he's looked at since his decommitment. At this point, it's probably fair to say that from looking at his social media, he is leaning towards USC, but really probably just because that's out of those two, it's the only place he's visited. So expect to have an official visit scheduled for him here soon so that he can check out our facilities and really get to know Brent Venables. And hopefully we have a DB coach by the time that official visit is planned. But this guy is super athletic as well. Like I said for Jaren, so if you guys want to just remind yourselves real quick, Jaren ran a 10.37 100-meter dash, super fast. Jalil, smaller guy, weighs about 30 pounds less according to their 247 profiles. Jalil runs a 10.77 100-meter dash. That just shows you how fast Jaren is, and to his respect, super athlete, but this guy's no slouch either as an athlete. And his 200 is a 21.93, so that kind of just shows he has stamina. He doesn't really slow down that much. He keeps up his pace, so he'll be a good addition if OU can really get themselves in that conversation moving forward.
Yeah. And another thing is, apparently, so obviously Mario Cristobal left Oregon, and he soon thereafter decommitted as well. He does have a visit lined up next month in January to go to Miami to probably visit because of Cristobal. But I would imagine he seems to be very open. It sounds like location is not an issue with him. And I do agree. I think he's going to be on campus probably next month, or at least hopefully the Sooners can get him on campus next month. But I thought it was pretty interesting that Nick Anderson quote tweeted his offer with the eye emojis, and he quoted back with eyes back at him. And they must be really interested in each other, and they're talking. And just a little fun fact, I think it's interesting that he played against Los Alamitos this year against Mekhi Lemon and DeAndre Moore and Malachi Nelson, and he made some good plays out there. Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah, no, he's obviously, again, just like Kanak, very, very athletic kid. You love the size out there, especially at corner. That's 6'1.5", almost 6'2", 180-pound frame. Very speedy guy. Very exciting. You love that Mario Cristobal left Oregon in this instance because it allows, Oklahoma a chance at him. I think Jose brought up a great point talking about his official visit. You hope that by the time he does officially visit, which we all assume sometime next month, that we do have a defensive backs or a corner coach, really lined in, set up, and, so we can really start, hit the ground running with these kids. Because I think with this kid, with Florence, it's going to be very similar to Gentry Williams, and they're kind of waiting it out to see, okay, who's going to be the corners coach? Do I like the corners coach? Is this a guy that I can see myself with for the next, 3 or 4 years of my career before I make the jump to the NFL and stuff? So I think, Venables is a, great defensive mind. Obviously his resume speaks for itself as far as defense goes, but I think when it comes down to Florence and Gentry alike, it's going to come down to, do these kids feel comfortable with whoever we bring in as a corners coach?
Oh, I agree. And I would imagine I really think they're going to have someone hired by the time he comes out. We're going to come out with a video with potential candidates as far as who could be the cornerback coach and the defensive line coach here pretty soon. But I would imagine that they'll have someone on the payroll here pretty soon, which, I do agree is crucial to getting a guy like him on campus. But I think this also goes back to we got to remember that, he is in San Diego. He has already visited USC. We can still compete. The University of Oklahoma will compete for recruits, even though USC has basically a ton of former Oklahoma staff on there. Lincoln, just because Lincoln Riley, Alex Grinch, and Roy Manning and them are out there doesn't mean Oklahoma's, grasp of California is going to die, because obviously this kid is still interested, even with Lincoln Riley and them out there. And I think that speaks just to the brand and what Venables can do.
Yeah, I think recruiting wise, you said it, the brand speaks a lot for itself, and Venables has said that almost in every press conference when he's talking about recruiting, where the brand will sell itself. And Porter Moser said the same thing. It's Oklahoma, and we just have to go in and do a good enough job of showing these kids what Oklahoma is, and then talk big picture with them. Show them how they fit into what we want to do at this university. And they're doing just that with all the guys that they've brought in so far. And hopefully Jalil just buys into that idea. And it's probably fair to say that we're definitely going to have a DB coach or a corner coach by the time an official visit is scheduled with him. From what it sounds like, the coaches that they're looking at are still competing in important bowl games for their teams. So by mid to late January, those coaches will be at least unofficially announced by a media source, or hopefully officially announced by the university.
Yeah, I would imagine Brandon Hall is leading up his recruitment right now. I know he's a safeties coach for OU, but I'd imagine he's his primary recruiter right now, and just, kind of giving him some insight of what their philosophy is anyway.
You guys have anything else to add on Jalil before we move on to our last guy?
I just like the odds for Oklahoma if they can get him on campus.
Yep,
I agree.
All right. So our last guy we're going to talk about today is Jacob Cowing. He is in the transfer portal from UTEP. He originates from Maricopa, Arizona. He is 5'11", 170 pounds. He was a sophomore last year. Last year, as a sophomore, he led the Miners with 41 receptions, 691 yards, and 3 touchdowns, being named second team All-Conference USA. He started every single game for UTEP, and he averaged 16.8 yards per reception and 86.4 yards per game. And it was a total of 8 games in which he did that. So pretty talented guy. Definitely going to be a position that Oklahoma will need to fill out some depth in after Hazelwood left. I know it's one guy, but that one guy was pretty productive last season. So with the Owies coming back, we talked about it in our last episode, but he may be the replacement there for the red zone targets. This guy wouldn't be a bad guy to bring in just for some extra depth, though.
Yeah. I was going to say, Jose, I think you read off his 2020 stats, because this year he had about 1,300 yards and and 7 touchdowns. Sorry.
Yep. That's my bad. UTEP hasn't updated their information, I guess.
Yeah. So, he had nearly 70 catches, 1,354 yards, and 7 touchdowns. I believe he'll have 2 years of eligibility left because of COVID. But the little bit I watched some of his highlights, and, I've seen him a little bit on TV. He's an absolute burner. He can take the top off the defense, and he can go up and catch the ball even with him being small. He kind of looks like a Hollywood, or, someone that's small, or maybe like a D.D. Westbrook. Maybe more like D.D. Westbrook is a good comparison. Brandon, what do you think?
I was going to say, because I watched the tape earlier today too, because first of all, this kid, with the production he put up at UTEP, he's going to be a hot commodity out there in the portal. He's going to have, his fair share of offers, and I hope, Jeff Levy or, and company, DeMarco Murray, whoever's going to be on his recruiting trail for Oklahoma, is selling him pretty good. But just from watching his tape, he reminded me like a lot. You mentioned it earlier, Brown, just a second ago. He reminded me a lot of like a bigger version of Hollywood Brown. He's a guy who has absolute burners, takes the top off all the defense, as you mentioned. He's just the weight is similar. He just has, a couple inches on Hollywood. But he's a guy that I think could thrive in an Oklahoma offense, especially with Caleb Williams, who can make every throw on the field. He's a guy that, I would be very excited, if we're able to land him.
Yeah, I could see him as serving in a backup role to Mario for if he does come to OU. think it's going to be tough to crack into a starting position at Oklahoma at the wide receiver spot. Like I said, to me, he would be a depth add-on rather than someone we would expect to start immediately, because Mario is also a burner. He's a guy that's got a lot of speed. Mims is still coming back, or at least expected to come back. Theo Weiss is coming back. We still have Jalil Farouk. West was really starting to turn on. He's a burner. So there's a lot of guys that he's got to beat out. If he can, though, that just shows how talented he is and how much he can compete against top level talent.
Yeah, I hope, since I believe he announced that he entered the transfer portal today because they just got done with their bowl game the other day. But I when I think of him, I do agree there's a lot of depth and he's going to have to be fighting for snaps and whatnot. But I feel like if he comes onto the field, he's going to take some of the load or the pressure off of Marvin Mims, because if you've got two guys that can run like no other, and even if you throw Mario Williams in there as well, you've got those three guys on there. I know they're not huge, but they can all run, and they're going to be hard to cover. You only have so many safeties to provide some coverage over the top. And I feel like the reason why OU might try to get him is for that reason, to open up Marvin Mims just a little bit more, to give him some more breathing room.
Quite possible. We'll have to see what ends up happening. It is a fresh entry into the transfer portal, so legitimate traction with a lot of these guys with a guy like him is going to take a few days, but definitely a guy Oklahoma should be considering over the next week or so.
I just think anytime you can get a guy with that much speed and that much, just the ability to stretch a field like that, you have to pursue, especially because say we get our running game going and it's, we're popping off, 5-6 yards of carry, and then you hit the play action ball and he's just running down the field, just, taking off. Especially like Brum said, I mean, with Marvin Mims and Mario Williams doing the same thing, I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a defense in the country that's going to be able to, if Oklahoma has established a run game where you're popping off 5-6 yards of carry and then you hit a play fake and all three of those guys are going deep, it's going to be hard pressed to find any team in the country that's going to be able to, take away all three at the same time.
Yeah. And, as much as we get excited, this is a whole nother topic, but about these stars and these 4s and 5 stars, he was a 2-star coming out of high school and he was a stud at UTEP. And I think a lot of Power 5 programs are going to be contacting him. It just screams to not everyone that's a 4 or 5 star is going to, be a superstar, and not every 2-star is going to be a dud. He's more than that. And he would be a great get, but I feel like a lot of Power 5 programs are going to be targeting him. And another guy that I feel like if OU can get on campus, I like their odds, just the track record there.
Yep. Do you guys want to add on anything before we wrap it up for today and have Brandon do his end of video thing?
No, definitely. Just
hit that subscribe.
Yeah, hit the subscribe. Keep an eye on, Florence and Cowing specifically, because obviously Kanak is already on campus. We're pretty set on him, but definitely keep an eye on those on Florence and Cowing, and we'll definitely be posting about them on social media, as things develop, because those are two guys that we're going to be very excited about. But yeah, so now for the end of video comment, just because Kanak is pulling the walk-on role, similar to one of our favorite Sooners ever, at least on this show, in Baker Mayfield, the end of video comment, if you finish it, will be Baker Mayfield or just simply the number 6.
All right, let's do it. Spam the comment section. Baker Mayfield or just the number 6, whatever you want. Throw it down there. Also, if you want, add on some thoughts you have on the players we just talked about. No, it's not that many, but it's, we're trying to get information out here as quick as possible for you guys, so you're up to date with the recruiting trail for the Sooners. As the guy said, make sure you're following us on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram at 2Point Sports. Again, if you don't like looking at us, which I don't blame you, sometimes I don't like looking at us, go follow us on Spotify. Links are all down in the description. Make sure if you do go on Spotify, follow us. That helps a lot. Follow us, unfollow us, and just do that on repeat every day if you feel like it. Just make sure it ends at a follow. Download the episodes. Listen to them on your drive, while you're working out, whatever gets you jazzed and you want to listen to Oklahoma sports, do that.
Also stay tuned, because we have a pretty big bowl game episode coming up, preview with a pretty big YouTuber as well, who reached out to us, which is going to be a fun episode for you guys, a fun episode for us. And then, as Brem mentioned earlier in the show, we're going to start, really going in depth on potential corner and defensive line coach candidates. There's a lot of you guys requested that, and that will be coming shortly.
Definitely. Thank you guys all for watching. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time.